The Niners have the 5th ranked defense in terms of yards allowed. I mean, meaning they've given up the 5th fewest yards in the league this year. That's great. They were the 5th ranked defense last year too. Do you think that's real? Do you think it'll sustain, or do you think it's a mirage?
I think it's a mirage. A couple things. Now they did have a period of time where they played really well, and they did like a lot of what they're doing, but I think what's going on is a couple things. First is like now their entire back end, aside from Mosley, is it's injured.
Mhm.
Um, and that's gonna play. That's gonna have a huge effect on their season going forward. Um, and even beyond that, they've had problems against the run the entire year,
Right.
and that's got to get cleaned up. Like I know the modern NFL is about stopping the pass, but you still have to stop the run. Like you can't just let teams run all over, especially if your offense isn't scoring, then
Yeah.
you got to be able to stop the run because then the run is still in play. It'd be different if your offense is putting up,
35. Yeah, no
30
problem.
game.
Go ahead and
Yeah,
run the ball. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm then you can do those sort of things. But
Like
right,
Kansas City could do that the last couple of years. Like, who cares
yeah,
about?
when you're in a close
Yeah.
game, when you're in these close
Yeah.
games, yeah, you got to
Yeah.
go stop the run. And to me, I was watching the Indy All 22 a little bit before this, and I'm kind of seeing the same. I think a lot of people are talking about the defensive tackles, but I just think to me their linebackers trigger real late on the run
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
linebackers and safeties, and I think that's maybe the biggest thing that's going on there with their run fits.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mirage too. I mean, they really have accomplished this. They are a good defense, but they're also ranked 22nd in points allowed, and I think there's a reason for that. They're not particularly good in the red zone, and they don't force turnovers.
No, that's the other thing either. They're last. I think they're last in
No, I think like the bottom 3. I think
okay.
Jacksonville's bad too, but really, really low. Also, what you mentioned about the run defense, I don't think they're a top 5 defense in the league. Fred Warner today said he thinks they can be or should be, but I think that's they don't do a good job stopping the run, and their secondary is cobbled together. So maybe a top 10 defense. It probably could finish the season as a top 10 defense, but I think it's going to regress a little bit.
Yeah, especially now.
We're seeing it regress a little bit. They've done a good job against their division opponents, but really not against anyone else.
I think I think the pass defense is. I think they could. They were able to do a little bit something because their their secondary wasn't as terrible as maybe people think what people are making them out to be. Like they had Josh Norman out there, and he committed a lot of penalties, and but Mosley was playing really well. As he had his worst game last week.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he was playing. He was playing outstanding. And obviously Ward. I thought Ward was playing well. Tart was good. So they were solid, but they still had that to hang their hat on, the new defensive line, uh,
Yeah.
even though they were giving up the runs. But now, um, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they'll have their defensive line, and Warner's still a good linebacker. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go Mirage there. I'd expect that fifth ranked defense to look a little different at the end of the year.
Yeah. And I keep going back to it. Did such a good job against Seahawks and the Cardinals, but those are teams that D'Amico Ryans has faced a lot of times. He knows how they game plan for those teams in the past. He didn't do a good job against the Bears. I mean, that team was averaging 14 points a game, and they came in at scored 22 against them. Scored 22, and the Niners couldn't contain Justin Fields at all. I mean, he was throwing to guys I'd never heard of, and Marquise Goodwin, who I didn't realize was still in the league. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. They should do a good job against the Cardinals. They just did a good job against them a few weeks ago, and the following week they should do a good job against the Rams. They always do. But are they gonna Are they gonna make Jacksonville look good? Are they gonna make Trevor Lawrence look like the dude he was at Clemson? I don't know. I don't know.
Have you have you or any of the beat reporters asked Kyle or D'Amico about the turnovers?
Yeah. they always say stuff like, "Oh, they come in bunches. We work on it every day. It's something we stress. It's a point of emphasis. And we keep plugging away. We drill this and drill that. Stuff like that."